Hello and welcome to the second look. This is Back in the Net on Sunday as AFC Bournemouth celebrated their 125th anniversary at home against Newcastle United. We managed to look back at all the times previous. Myself and Tom, we were at a meal on Thursday night, and I'm sure we'll do a show at some point to tell you what really happened. But those were the times where things were simple, and I bet the squad of that era were probably turning in their graves at what was happening 125 years later at Dean Court as technology intervened and ruled out what we think was a perfectly legitimate goal. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And also the return of Neil Dawson. How are you, Neil?
I'm okay. I need therapy, but I'm hoping today will be that therapy.
We've done our bit. I saw a comment the other day saying, where's Neil and Jeff? Where's Neil and Jeff? Well, we've done our bit. We've got Neil in, and Jeff, listen to the people, mate, 'cause Neil has.
Exactly. But look, we've seen a lot of stuff online. Are we biased? Are we looking through cherry-tinted spectacles? And while we're Match of the Day laughing about us again, we need to talk about it. Tom, firstly, for those on YouTube, there's a couple of things they can do, right?
Yeah, click like, click subscribe, and click the bell as well, because that'll tell you when all the videos are out. And there's lots of them. And yeah, just do that, please. Look, we're hurting today. Just do that.
It's hard. And also on the audio pod, if you're listening, you can give us a 5-star review. We would truly appreciate it. Okay, where do we begin? Where do we begin? At the beginning or at the end?
Do we begin at the controversy and get out of the way?
Well, I'll tell you what we will do. We'll talk about the teams.
Okay.
And then we'll get straight into it. Then we'll talk about the good things we witnessed. Because the problem is, Neil, what happened at the end completely overshadowed what I thought was a stunning performance from us. It was scintillating.
Yeah. It was one of those games where you felt like you were kicking every ball with the team. There were no real flat spells where you kind of drift off or think I might go get a beer. Well, maybe. But in the main, it's like we were right in that game. Every member of the crowd was, and we played really, really well. But unfortunately, what will only get talked about, as Andoni said himself, is the last 3 minutes.
So we were excited during the game, but also we were excited when the teams were announced as well, Tom.
Yeah.
Andoni took us by surprise a little bit with that lineup.
Yeah, he did a little bit. I think it was 5 changes in all, wasn't it? I was expecting and hopeful that Kluivert and Christie would come back in, which they did. Evan Ilson as well, expected that. I think a lot of people were saying about Araujo. I didn't think he would, personally. I thought that he would stick with Smith, that experience against Anthony Gordon as well. But fair play, he chucked him in. He done really well off the bench, didn't he, against Forest? And felt a little bit for Dean Howson because what more could he do? But I guess, he's kind of going with that. Well, Senesi's got the shirt, and he put him back in for it. So yeah, I was happy with it. I looked at the team and looked at their side and was pretty happy. I wasn't surprised that Eddie, will see what ended up happening, but he chose to go Kelly, I think, because he was worried about Semenyo. So he didn't play, Lewis Hall. He went for Kelly, a little bit more stability there, but Semenyo was a hard one to deal with. But yeah, it was kind of expected from their side, wasn't it? They got a few knocks and obviously Shah's suspension.
And on the bench for us, notably no Philip Billing.
No Philip Billing, no Max Aarons, no Chris Mepham, no Hamid Traore, who are all, I believe, fit. So yeah, we'll probably dive into that a little bit, but maybe they'll be on their way out. But interestingly, it looks like Jay Nantley's on his way out and he was on the bench.
Yeah, so where's he going?
Scott Parker ball. He's going up. To be fair, it makes sense. He was someone that Parker, I think we look at it now, I mean, no one could have predicted what's happened with Morgan Rogers. But if you're a Burnley fan and you want to be excited, he kept him out of the team, technically. But I think that was Scott Parker. Well, I think he loved that Jay Nantley put a shift in for him, had that combination with Jay-Z. But it was also, he would help him out defensively as well. And that'd be a good sign for Burnley. And I think it's a good deal for us. It sounds like if they were to get promoted, which I probably think they will, we'll get 10 million for him, which is obviously pure profit. And we were kind of talking then, I think someone like Jaden, who I've really been wanting to do well. I was watching him in America and thought, oh, he's really trying to prove a point. I'd love it if he could, but I don't think he's quite there for where we want to get to. And fair play to him. What's the point of sitting on the bench and not doing anything? Go and play football, mate. So I really hope he does well. And I think, he knows Parker, so he should fit in quite well.
He's such a top lad as well, because he's been in away games, hasn't he, a couple of times. Been in with a crowd, led his own singing of his own song. Gave everything when he played for the club. I think he really needed Jay-Z. He wasn't as good when he didn't have Jay-Z. They had such an understanding. But I don't know who Burnley got left back, but if they can recreate that, it's a great move for him. But, and good if we get 10 million, because the straight profit in it.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly helps with FFP and PSR and all that kind of stuff. So during the game, look, we won't go too much about the individual moments, but I thought we looked so sharp. We're winning the ball back well in the final third. We pressed well. We were harassing them. The energy from midfield, even our defence when called on, I think they grew into it at times. And, Senesi eventually got the better of Isak throughout it. Our fullbacks were great. But then as the game did wear on in the second half, after we were 1-0 up, I think Christie coming off, we lost a bit of control. We lost a bit of that momentum, and then it was almost inevitable when they did score. And look, I mean, both teams could maybe feel a little bit aggrieved because they went close. We went close, but then we did go close. Well, we scored at the very end. And Neil, I still can't understand it. We're recording nearly 24 hours afterwards, and, the dust still hasn't settled for me.
No, and I don't think it ever will. It'll be one of those that we'll never ever know. We'll never ever know why it happened. I think you can look at it a number of different ways. The two key things for me, I think, is firstly, it's supposed to be to correct a clear and obvious error. So, and that's what I just keep coming back to, ignoring everything else. No one is looking at that thinking, he's missed something. We need to tell him. The guy's gone to look to not give that goal. The person that had the clearest view of that goal was Pope, the Newcastle goalkeeper. He, like any professional footballer, it's ingrained in him that if he sees an infringement of any kind, even one where he knows secretly it's not, but I might, he's thinking I might get away with it. No different to our players. So he would have straight away been running to the ref screaming, particularly in the 92nd minute. Yeah. He just accepted that was a goal because to everyone, it was a goal. Yeah. So someone has gone looking for that, for absolutely zero reason, and, deprived us of what would have been a winning goal. I don't think, to be fair, I think the game was a draw in terms of if you watched it as a neutral, Neto made some brilliant saves. We hit the crossbar. I think a neutral would probably say a draw is not, so it's not about we were robbed of what was a rightful victory, but we were robbed of a technical victory because that would have been it.
Yeah, no, definitely. No,
and it's harsh on Dango as well.
Yeah, it's happened again to him, isn't it?
Third time.
Yeah, Old Trafford, and then I forgot he was the one that put it in last week. So gutted for him, really gutted for him. But and I agree with Anthony made a really good point as well on the fact that it's shoulder. I mean, I don't see how, if that hits his hand, his arm, I don't see how the ball goes in with that much power. It literally can't do that. So that means it's got to have come off his shoulder or Dan Burn's shoulder. And literally a week ago, we accepted that our first goal was disallowed because Lewis Cook's shoulder was offside, and you can't score with a shoulder. You can score with a shoulder, sorry. And then we do score with a shoulder, and now you can't score with a shoulder. I can't get me around it. And yeah, I mean, obviously, we've seen loads of different bits about kind of, sleeves and all these graphics and all these things written down in little notepads by all the little nerdy twats that do that. Why can't we just enjoy a sport and stop trying to make it into a science? It was we've been saying this, and we feel like we've had to kind of prove our point in terms of, wanting the change in gaffer. Yeah. If we go back to that, because we just we saw the players we had, and you just want to enjoy the product that you're paying for. Yeah. And Antonio Raiola is making us enjoy it. And that was rock and roll football at its very best. We're very open. We're going to give him opportunities, which we did. And fortunately, Neto had a good game in terms of shot stopping, but it was so good to watch. And that's what we were moaning about, because we thought we were playing a little bit defensive and just trying to, with Gary Neal, who let in 6. So it was much better to see all this and you think, this is brilliant. This is what we pay for. This is unbelievable to watch. And you just got these idiots that aren't even there. They're just watching it on a screen. They've probably got glasses on, let's be honest. They've probably got a little suit on. They probably got a calculator
there. They do wear glasses. They didn't have them on yesterday.
They probably went to your school or something like that. And why are they getting involved with a great sport? It is so frustrating. So I don't care about the kind of rules really. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's one thing in the game that they could maybe get involved in, because they can go, that's a clear and obvious error. And that's probably when someone does a tackle that actually would have got you sent off in rugby. And that was a yellow card. Yeah. And apparently they don't have to get involved in that.
Because the yellow card's been
brandished.
I mean, just use your common sense.
I mean, the fact that everyone's talking about sleeves and stuff. I'm watching Sue Smith on Sky Sports trying to demonstrate it.
Where a sleeve is.
And if the fact that there is this conversation means it's not clear and obvious.
As soon as you have to have that conversation, it's not clear and obvious. Make whatever the ref done, because why the refs are becoming redundant.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. Give them the control. Give them their control. And if a ref makes an error, there is a part of you that can accept it a bit more. But when they go through all that technology and still get what I think's wrong, it's just...
I was saying to you earlier, Neil, just before we started this, there's an angle from the side of the pitch where the ball comes in, obviously. It was a Lewis Cook corner. There is no way that if it did come off Dango Ouattara's bicep, I know he's ripped and everything, but there's no way that he'd be able to generate that kind of power, because it would absorb most of it. And when you see it come in, look at the power that's generated. There's no way that's off an arm.
The only way that you could generate that power off your arm would be if you punched it. Is that you cannot get that speed. And also, there's no way as well that I've looked at it on the closer angle. It's Dan Burns' shoulder to me that it comes off, which is why the power is there, because had it come off that part of Dango's arm, I don't think it would have gone as quick. It's hit Dan Burns' shoulder. Dan Burns has kind of come into Dango, which has stopped him from making the header clean as well. I don't think it would have been a penalty. I'm not saying that for a million years, but he's come into him, which has meant he's not got a clean header.
Yeah. I think that if you realise that Dango had a bit of a delayed reaction to celebrate, which normally means he don't think he's touched it. Do you know what I mean? I think he thinks that's an own goal.
Yeah.
And it's hit Burns. So yeah, I can't get me around, mate. It's so frustrating. The last time I saw, like Neil said, you'd have to punch the ball. Maradona and ironically us at West Ham when they played volleyball. And that counted, by the way.
Yeah, that counted. Yeah. So that was when Zuma scored the goal, but I can't remember who it was.
Hera.
Yeah, that knocked it up. That's right. But that was a lot lower. I mean, that was clear and that was obvious.
That was like volleyball, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, I mean, like the referee, he made the right call by giving it. But
he did,
the fact that he didn't even have that chance, the fact that opportunity, but the word is factual, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is what they keep coming back to. Is it a factual or is it a subjective thing? So they declared it a factual handball, so he therefore can't go and look at it. The other thing that's frustrating as well is when you see the footage of Rodri's one, where it was so you come back to so I don't think there's someone sat in the studio thinking, let's punish the small clubs and get them relegated. Like you see some people saying on Twitter, that's bollocks. That's not the case. But what I think it is they know if they're watching Liverpool score a last minute winner, they're all sat in that studio and the pressure on them is intense, because if they make the decision they made yesterday against Liverpool for a last minute winner, that's going on worldwide telly for 2 weeks. Their bosses are calling them into an office going, you've made us a laughing stock, blah, blah, blah. So they have that pressure in their head. And I think with Bournemouth, they don't have that pressure. Same with Ipswich and, Luton last year or whatever. So they can make that decision because they know, other than us pricking on about it, this will be fish and chip paper in 2 days' time. No one will talk about it again. And Andoni said that, didn't he? He said, look, in 2 weeks' time, we'll only have 2 points. If we don't win the next game, everyone will be saying, why have you had a poor start to the season?
Yeah, he's bang on. And going off Neil's point there is the perfect example is watching Match of the Day. Mate. And if that's, I don't want to just use Liverpool because we mean big club. If that's Man City, Arsenal, they are talking about that like a serious debate, and they are looking at it and going how outrageous it is. They're laughing when they do it with us. Yeah, they're laughing. And they're laughing about Joe Linton. They're laughing.
Yeah, the only way I can maybe dig them out is that they're laughing at the stupidity of the rules. But, it's in a Bournemouth conversation. Yeah. If that was in a Spurs conversation, if that was in an Arsenal conversation, Liverpool, they wouldn't be laughing at it. Because, and also, there's the fine margins.
No disrespect. I mean, I don't know Arnie Slot well enough yet. But Mikel Arteta, previously Jurgen Klopp, there's no way they would have been as graceful as Andoni Iraola, by the way. He was he was brilliant, I thought, because he was clearly raging, but I thought he was brilliant. And I love that they always just get Pablo Latorre just to come out and get sent off for him. Yeah. So that was Joe Linton's WWE tackle resulted in a red card for one of our staff.
I think Paddy Power put out a meme about that. They're always on the ball, but and look, so football fans had their say on Twitter. The players obviously reacted how they did, i.e. no reaction. The media pundits afterwards then, so I've seen reactions from Alan Shearer, Jamie Carragher, Jamie Redknapp on Sky, Troy Deeney on Match of the Day, Sue Smith doing it on Sky Sports News. I don't think one of them has said that it should have been ruled out.
Not one expert that I've seen.
No, we were saying that before, weren't we?
And Alan Shearer would have scored shed loads of goals like that in his career.
Coming over Newcastle, by the way.
Coming over the top of centre halves with a shoulder, that will have happened to him when he was playing. So the specs professionals, they know, as did the professionals on the pitch, because not one of them raised any indication. So it was weird, when the screen came up that said checking for handball, I said to my lad Louis, I said, oh, they've got the wrong They've put the wrong screen up.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, it has to be a foul,
Yeah.
or I thought offside. Well, it can't really be offside because of where he came from. But I thought they put the wrong screen up, because if it's the one thing it isn't is handball, because we'd seen that pace of the ball, etc. And
I almost laughed and said, "Oh God, they got to check it, haven't they?" But I'm literally, you know where I sit, I'm right behind that crossbar, that corner it went in, and I kind of laughed at me and said, "Oh, I guess you know what they're like. They got to check it because it did quite hit his head, so it's probably they just got to have a look." But never in a million years did I think they would disallow it. But we'll probably get an apology, just like we did when Ivan Toney got a penalty that won the penalty, just like we did when the offside rule was wrong when Christian Benteke scored at Anfield, just like we did when Hawkeye decided to relegate us. So we'll get another apology, which will do absolutely F all.
And Dom Solanke at Arsenal with the same ref.
Yeah, and again, that ref wasn't taken to the screen. Remember?
Yeah.
He was told not to go to the
But
screen.
it was the ref from yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, David Coote, yeah.
I think Tim Robinson was the man on the VAR yesterday, but yeah, in that game there were a few contentious decisions, because I think you were not best pleased at full time from memory.
Yeah, from memory, mate. I feel like I've done it all of last season, and then we're 2 games in, mate. We're 2 games in. It's just.
I've been told I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore. I was told I was getting weird.
So I suppose
I was looking at diagrams in bed. Where does an armpit finish and where does an armpit
the worst
start?
kind of pornography ever.
Apparently that's weird.
Yeah. So it begs the question: why did we vote to keep it?
Yeah, it's very true.
Only Wolves didn't.
Yeah, you got respect. You got respect Big Gaz and the Wolves.
It
Yeah, because everyone.
Belief. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, do you think each club are maybe presented with a report before they made their decision, and it showed all the contentious decisions, and it probably worked out that the amount of points we garnered at the end of the season was maybe more with VAR than what it would have been without, perhaps? Or something?
I think what the problem is they're probably told, do you want to keep technology in to help referees? And yes, they probably think, well, yeah, if you can help the ref. And when they come out and say, but don't worry, because we know that we're giving the power to the ref, we're only going to get involved. That's how they would have worded it. We're only getting involved if it's something serious. So of course you'd go, all right then. Yeah. But that doesn't happen.
So I'm against VAR, and I've been since day one. But that said, I do see the argument that if used properly, so they don't have they have about 20% of the fuss that we have with VAR in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I always thought we had worse referees back before VAR actually on the pitch than when you used to watch the World Cup and the European Championship. These referees are quite good. Yeah. And I always thought we had a worse standard of refereeing. And I think we've just translated that into the TV studio. And if you remember the Euros, everyone was saying, oh, it's brilliant. VAR's brilliant. Yeah. Until when? Until Stockley Park got involved with it. Yeah. And all of a sudden we had a 4-minute, and it's just like a national embarrassment. And so I think if referee, you could make certain changes to VAR that I think most football fans would agree with. So if referees had to look at the screen, it was their decision, not someone in the studio, and they had to watch it 3 times in normal pace, or whatever. Yeah, just make some rules like that, and just say, we'll have automated offsides and we'll have goal line technology, and then everything else is the referee on the pitch. But should he choose to, so should he say, I'm not quite sure about that one. Can you have a look at it for me? Can I have a quick look at the telly? Yeah. Then, that's that. Or they can alert him in his earpiece to say, mate, you've made a major cock up. Yeah. That if VAR was that, then I think most people would accept it. It's when you get something like yesterday where 23 people, including the referee, had all accepted one thing as a goal, and then someone is scrambling through footage to try and prove it wrong. Yeah. That's a bit where it gets it. So I think clubs probably thought, well, we do like the technology, we just want to implement it better. And I think the PGMOL probably said we will implement it better in the future.
Yeah, that's what I think so. And genuinely, the ref, to give him a bit of credit, the ref hasn't seen the stills and the pictures we have until later than all of us. Yeah. And he could well have gone in there afterwards, looked at it on his phone, and gone, bloody hell. Yeah. I'm surprised was that handball, was it?
What frustrates me,
he had no choice, no power.
I've seen pictures of like the VAR hub or whatever, and there's like 3 or 4 people that are watching, like all in the same space. So when you got one opinion, it's natural that the other one's going to be, I can see your point. Yeah. Really, they need to be watching it maybe, just in isolation.
Yeah.
And then
have to vote on a button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like boxing judges. Or,
because to me, it
the
just
voice,
seems
like just all
exactly. Yeah.
And then the chair spins round.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to me, it's just absolutely obtuse, and it's not only that moment, it's the inconsistencies, like you said, with other decisions that we've seen, and it rumbles on. Yeah. New and improved it was supposed to be this season.
Yeah, lovely.
2 games in, and we've had an issue in both of our games. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another one in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday.
We got 2 away games coming up, so let's see how that goes, shall we?
But it does overshadow what was a
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
brilliant performance. There was some,
You're going to put it to bed now, are we?
Yeah, can we just-
maybe?
No, just get rid of it now. I'm not talking about it anymore.
Look, I mean, there were some individual performances. I mean, like, let's start with the new signing, Evan Ilson.
Yeah, I like the look of him. I did like the look of him. It was a real shame that he hit that one quite well, actually, the first half, didn't he?
Did,
But-
yeah.
Someone, Mike on Twitter pointed out that Brett Pittman scored a goal from an identical position yesterday for the team that he's playing for.
I love how I said that to Brett when we met him.
Yeah.
I said, you're still banging him in for that team you're playing for.
Baffin Milton Rovers, wasn't it?
Ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
But respect that. Just go anywhere and just score goals. But yeah, it was well hit. I like that he got shot off. I thought you got to remember, there's probably not too many. I'm not saying like there's going to be better centre halves, but there's not too many that are going to give him that physical kind of battle like Dan Burn does.
No.
How does the physicality of the Premier League compare with like in Portugal? Like,
Yeah, I'm not going to act like I'm, really. Yeah.
Mr.
bring you
Portuguese football expert.
But then that Pepe's played there, and he's an absolute lunatic. But I did think he showed, I think I said to you off camera that the main thing is, because I've always thought like, what he does, Kiefer Moore's a good striker. Kiefer Moore's a good striker. He is not an Andoni Iraola Premier League striker. I actually think, he's still our player, but if you say like Billin, Brooks, don't quite think they're Iraola players. They're bloody good footballers.
yeah.
What I wanted to see from Evan Ilson is he's not going to turn up and score a hat-trick straight away. But what I wanted to see is, does he look like he could play with the way Iraola wants to play? And I thought he did.
Yeah.
I thought he did. I thought he stretched him. I thought he pressed well. He ran himself into the ground, didn't he? And he was a toenail off, nearly getting one.
scoring moment.
Yeah,
It was.
so close. But yeah, I like the look of him. I think he'll probably start again in the week. And I think, get him some minutes. Get him
I
ready.
don't want him to start in a week.
But I don't think we've got any other options. I think Jefferson will probably be gone by then. Or if he's not, we're not going to want to cut time.
I'd wrap him up in cotton wool for league games.
Yeah, it's an interesting. He could try one of the wingers again up front because obviously Unai is not close. So yeah, but I think he's gonna. He looks a handful. He looked pretty sharp. So yeah, looking forward to seeing more of him, mate. And Araujo again.
Yeah.
Played well. Deserves a shout out.
It's interesting. He didn't drop deep like Solanke sometimes. I know Solanke under Iraola played far more forward than he did under Parker and O'Neill, but he still used to come and ferret and drop deep. And I noticed that Iraola was constantly telling Evan Nielsen to play up on Dan Burn.
Yeah,
he
don't
was
get
constantly
involved too much,
pushing him like with his hand, saying go back. Because I think the idea was to try and slip him past Dan Burn in a foot race, but never really quite happened. Our midfielders kept going sideways to the wing, not on that. And a few times he made brilliant runs.
Did, yeah.
And they went wide. And I think that's the sort of thing that you work through in training, isn't it? And
He was, I mean, he was the head of a 3 or 4, the way the attacking 4 all
So
rotated
brilliant.
and moved. If you're a Newcastle United defender, you
Nightmare.
don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it was perfectly. I mean, because now obviously Tav's had a few games where he's playing in the 10. So him and Kluivert were doing
did
it
well.
a lot.
Yeah.
I thought Tav was really good. I do think he gets a little bit underrated sometimes but then maybe it's because he doesn't back it up all the time with goals. So I was really, really pleased he got on the end of one. Cause I thought he was really good. He's maybe not as good on the eye as kind of Sinistera, who's maybe not playing, but I actually think them 3 behind the striker is perfect because of the interchanging, like you say. And Semenyo was just an absolute joke.
he's a beast.
I mean, we got this, 10 million quid from the championship and I remember looking at him when he first come in, and I know he got an injury to be fair, but he obviously come in the January under Gary O'Neill. And I thought, okay, makes sense. He's a backup to Dom. I can see that he's going to be a striker that he'll do all right, but I think he's going to be a backup. And I kind of thought, is he ever really going to get in the team? I mean, the player now is he's one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, he's probably the most important player we've got at the moment.
Yeah, unbelievable. And he can go either side. And as much as you kind of have a bit of a laugh about it, Lloyd Kelly's a bloody solid defender.
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was going. I didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah.
You don't know if he can come inside, he can go on the outside. Just incredible. And they kept going, all right, let's try and put Burn out there for 10 minutes. Then they went, all right, let's bring Lewis Hall on. They were changing I've never seen a back 4 change so much in a game.
I was talking to a Newcastle fan after the game, and he was saying every time he got the ball, they were worried. And I thought you would be, wouldn't you? If you saw him, the way, because what I love about him is he don't run to the byline, he runs out of fullback.
Straight at
So he's running straight at you. And so anyone that's played knows that you like someone that goes through a line, you like someone that comes in. What you don't want is someone that just makes a beeline straight at you, because you know that you're now involved and you got to read what he does. And and you're out the game if he's gone. And he was just incredible.
And
he really was.
like Neil said about, which is a fair point about Evan Nilsson, maybe wrap him up. But then I want to wrap him up as well. So there's another one you got to wrap up, and then I kind of want to wrap Christie up, and then it becomes a bit.
He's ideal for FPL points at the moment, isn't he?
He is. I nearly had him as well, but I went Cliver because of penalties.
I've got them both.
Have you? Yeah. Played.
I've got them both.
I do have Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, I've got Solanke as well, but he's injured.
Yeah.
It's a typical Spursy.
Yeah.
Semenyo's role in Tav's opener, the way he hassled and harried and won that ball back.
Very nice of him to do it on 37 and not 38 minutes as well. I really respected that. Really appreciated that.
So you could catch that. But I thought that he pushed himself out too wide a little bit, but then he cut back in, and then like seeing the replays, Tav could have only just been onside by a finger.
Yeah, it was
the defender on the far side. I thought he was. I was waiting for the lovely screen, the purple, the two tone purple screen. I was waiting for that because I was convinced he was offside, but then clearly you could see it was that trailing foot that kept him on.
Poor defending actually from Livermore. They showed it on Match of the Day. How he's with Tav the whole way and he just lets him. Really poor. And they're probably Newcastle fans going, oh, if that was Trippier. You know, I know Livermore come in for this one, but he's a scummer. I was annoyed at how little Bournemouth fans seemed to know he was a scummer, by the way. There's only a few of us trying to chant at him. Like, we've got to keep that.
What was Lloyd Kelly's reception like where you were? Because some people, I didn't hear it myself, but some people say there were a few boos.
There were a few boos.
Didn't hear any boos.
I didn't.
I heard the Bournemouth rejects chant.
I heard that.
Probably
joined in.
And shit Charlie Daniels, but I think that's all part of it. It's just a bit of a. I tried to go shit Royce Wiggins, which didn't kick on. But you've got to have a bit of I think it was all more of a laugh because when he got substituted, everyone myself included, just stood up and gave him a little clap. I think, you know.
He was captain, a promotion-winning captain, so you need a degree of respect.
And I kind of go to that point of we always go on about the little wee man Scottish rat and how the reason we hate him so much is because he had a contract and blah, blah, blah. Lloyd Kelly never shirked responsibility last season when we all knew he was leaving. He knew he was leaving. Everyone knew he was leaving. Same with Lerma. And, you know, he kept playing and never let us down. So I think he deserves that respect. And I want him to do well at Newcastle.
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
And it'll really be interesting to see with Eddie whether he fits into a left centre-back, left-back role. But in the game, obviously, I wanted him to struggle, and I felt he did. But that was more to Semenyo, because I think anyone would have struggled.
He hit the bar as well, didn't he, Semenyo, with a shot that was miles out, actually.
Yeah. It was miles out. I don't know why he's hit that, to be fair. But
it was. And it looked like it was going miles over.
Yeah, it was like at the end.
It was like that Brett Pittman-Burton goal that that he didn't pick as his favourite. He picked the Fulham goal. I thought surely the Burton.
Yeah, we were saying that.
One of the greatest goals ever. But he, it was similar, and it came down at a rate of knots, and it was like if it just dropped a millimetre earlier, it would have flown in the top corner because it was over Pope's hand. But yeah, he was what a handful. But Cliver, to me, because his, so if you think about Forest, we didn't have Christie and Kluivert. Those two are the pivotal way of and Iriola's press. And if both are playing, I always think we'll have that press. Christie irritates me because he doesn't ever score, and he can't have two central midfielders that don't score. But that's one for dealing with further down the line. But him and Kluivert together's effort, and then when they both went off, that was the killer because they both went off largely at the same time, and there isn't what comes on. Last year it was Billing, this year it's Scott. Different sort of players. They don't do the press.
And also it's just the physicality of Scott's not quite there. But I thought he looked all right in that game yesterday. Obviously, he can get a shot away, as we can see.
I was unlucky.
You know, a few nice little moments, pirouettes and stuff that look good on the eye.
He's a bloody good footballer. I think we're just struggling to find a way to get him in because I think at the moment he's probably, I reckon, best in the Lewis Cook role where Lewis Cook's too good.
He was amazing.
The problem is, kind of what Neil was saying, is that Christie, and I think a few people said about it was a bad decision with the sub. I think we need to remember that. Well, we heard that because they'd done a open trader session for junior cherries in the week, and Ryan Christie was the only one in that squad that didn't train. He didn't train. We said in America he was training separately. He didn't start. I think there's maybe an issue there. And he was always going to come off. The problem is when he comes off, we have no one like him, and that's the only problem at the moment. And Kluivert, I think, is that player that people will quite easily see it all online when everyone's playing and everyone loves someone like a City because he's good to watch and Dango's doing all right off the bench, and people often leave him out. And I think he's one of them players that you don't realise how bloody good he is until he's not there. Because as soon as he wasn't there against Forest, I don't think everyone went, oh, we'll be all right. You know, we'll just play Tav in there, blah, blah. And then as soon as he come on, we went, oh, I forgot how good he was. And he's so good at that press. And if you remember last season, when we didn't win for ages.
Yeah.
The turning point was when he randomly put Clivert in the 10.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone was going, bloody hell, let's try and Clivert at the 10. What are we trying now? And Christie a bit deeper.
Yeah.
And we suddenly beat Burnley, and it was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only thing. So we've got a better squad now for sure, but them two, as Neil said, we haven't got like for like as much. He's definitely trying to see if Tav can do it a little bit more. But yeah, them two are excellent at what Andoni wants for sure.
But Tav starts, that's the problem. So if Tav was on the bench, because what you need is someone that comes on for 20 minutes and runs like the lunatic that they run like.
Whereas just moving Tav in, he's still knackered.
Whereas Tav's knackered by the time he moves in. So, and could Sinistero was pressing better than I've seen him yesterday when he came on. He looked like he was interested, but
I just wish that a few of the shots that he had,
just went power, didn't he?
Yeah, just hit them low, make the keeper work. Yeah. But
to be fair,
Pope had to do is jump up in the air.
His shot was the one that went over to our goal.
Yeah, to create the corner that was disallowed. Yeah.
Have we covered that?
We have covered that. And I actually want to point out again, not just the goal that we've kind of covered. I thought Dango made a better impact. I've kept saying last season that he'd come on, he'd run.
Good.
He'd run at people. Yeah, he'd run at people and just fall over. He was putting some dangerous balls in as well. And he is always a threat from set pieces.
He's finding passes to feet as well.
Yeah, he's getting that confidence is getting there, I think, with him.
It's really interesting. We were talking about this on the way home. As a winger, so if you just think about it as a winger, how many games has Dango or Sinistera started as a winger? Started where you've thought they've had a really good game?
Yeah, not many.
And then how many games have they come on?
Yeah.
And you've thought they've got really good games?
Yeah, they've got to start now. That's what you think.
Yeah. So they're both players that to me are like brilliant as impact subs.
Yeah.
We're always going to make subs on with lots of time to go because that's what Andoni does. Yeah. 60 minutes, they're going to be coming on.
Yeah, still getting half hour.
Whether we're winning, drawing or losing. And I think that's their role. Both started at Forest. Both I thought were meh.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, agreed. Yeah. And look, Lewis Cook, you mentioned him as well. He's up there in the
He was outrageous, by the way.
Everywhere.
What a player. Most combined tackles and interceptions from the other 14 in Premier League week 2. He was up there in the table with 6. And then some of the defenders that need a shout out. Kirkes, I thought
Kirkes started the game well. I thought he drifted in the second half.
He painted off.
And if you want to really look at the goal, does he lose Gordon?
Go.
And I don't think he struggled in the little time he had with Gordon miles more than Araujo did for a longer period. Yeah. So maybe he tied a little bit. But yeah, in the first time I thought he was very, very good. But yeah, I felt it was probably more what Eddie did. I thought bringing on Harvey Barnes and moving Gordon over was the right thing to do from their perspective. But yeah, defensively, I thought Isak is lightning. Yeah. He's always a threat. I would argue the best striker apart from Haaland don't count in the Premier League. And Senesi is not quick. And the way Senesi managed to just jockey him and be intelligent in his positioning.
Yeah, because he got caught a couple of times early on.
Yeah. And he never...
Senesi.
And I just kept thinking he's going to kill him at some point, just dive in because he's too quick for him. But he jockeyed him really well. And there's a few times he just used his strength and just nudged into him. So,
and Zabani, he didn't do anything of note, but he's just...
Everything's perfect. Just everything's perfect.
I think this will be our last year with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was sensational.
We need to talk about Neto. Because look, we've been critical of him, the way he sort of maybe doesn't dominate his box. Shot stopping's never really been one of his weaknesses. I think his stats suggest that he's actually pretty good at that.
Yeah.
However, there were some shots which I would say were maybe more than standard that he managed to get an arm to yesterday. Do you say?
I mean, should I start? Well, no, I'll end it on a bright note because Neto had a bloody good game.
Yeah.
I think I'll start it on the fact that it's just my opinion. There was one, I think it might be Dan Murder. The second half, I think it's a good save. And we were talking last week in detail about the stat side of it, how he always does well on stats, right? Because I think, personally, most goalkeepers in the Premier League come and catch that.
Right.
And if they come and catch that, you don't have to make a save that then does well on your stats. Okay. That's just my opinion. There's a few times I just think, and don't get me wrong, if you're not going to come, make sure you bloody save it. And he did do that yesterday, to his credit. But there's a few times I think, that's right. Why is he not just coming out and catching it? But in what we never really questioned in his shot stopping.
No, he's made some fantastic.
Really, really good. And if he's not going to he's never going to change and suddenly be a commanding goalkeeper. No. So if he's not going to be a commanding goalkeeper, then just keep your shot stopping up. And he did that perfectly. He didn't really have anything to do in the first half.
But a few
of his kicks were.
Yeah. A few distributions.
I said to you at half time that I just want him to make one big save and kind of lift his confidence, and that's what happened.
He's like a beach goalkeeper, I think, because he also makes saves look better
Yeah, I do think so.
Than they probably actually are. Similar to Mark Travers' first game against Spurs.
Yeah.
Where it was, you go back to that moment, and being at the game, it was incredible.
Yeah.
But you go back and you watched it on Match of the Day and you thought, Artur Boruc would have saved all of those.
Yeah.
But what Travers did was he flew, and there was one yesterday where it was going in the top corner, and Neto could have ran across to it and either caught it or tipped it over the bar, but he flew to tip it over the bar. I think there was only one save yesterday that I thought was a brilliant save.
It's like a one-handed one.
That was
it was a very good.
That was a strong arm.
That was a strong arm. Yes.
It was a very good set, and he had a very good game. Very good game, I think. But yeah, we joke about, 'cause sometimes I have to feel it in goal. Don't know what I play with you, 6 aside. If a shot's coming at me there, I could think I probably could catch that. It's 5 aside. I just go like that.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, "Oh, great save." I think I could have caught that. But yeah, that's what he's. And there's a bit of that. But listen, people saying that we shouldn't look at goalkeeping now. You're having a laugh, but really good performance, and I'm really pleased for him. And I think he potentially, I don't know with Kepa what the deal's going to be with in terms of Wednesday.
It looks like that could be happening.
Yeah, it does look like that. But he might not be able to play Wednesday, or it might be too quick, etc. He might not be with the group. And if Travers would have gone on loan, we might not want a cup time. So Neto could play on Wednesday, and I'm glad he's had a performance. And if Andoni goes, you know what, he had a good performance. He plays on Wednesday, plays well. If he wants to just keep him in until he makes an error,
that's fine.
Absolutely fine. But yeah, I just want that option, and maybe the little. Basically, what I was pleased with mostly was that he knows, Neto, that he had a bad game in the first game. He knows we want a keeper. We're desperate for a keeper.
Yeah.
So go and make some big saves, and maybe that's why he over the top did them to show that he made some good saves. But he did, and he had a really good performance. And I think you could have even made a slight case for him to get man of the match. I think Semenyo was always going to get it.
Yeah.
And I thought Lewis Cook as well was my next one. They probably were the 3 main ones, I would say.
I think the interesting thing with Kepa is if you talk to Chelsea fans, they describe him exactly as we describe Neto.
That's my concern.
Which is he is a phenomenal shot stopper that will make some saves that make your eyes water, but he will not command his box.
Yeah.
An expensive one as well, by the sounds of it, 'cause he's not going to be cheap, is he?
No,
I can't believe we'll be paying all his wages.
No, he's going to be a loan.
He's on 150 grand a week.
Yeah. So. I think it was a loan that will pay some of it, what I've seen. But I said to you, and this is just so you confirm this before any rumours, because I think he's been rumoured with Blackburn actually, but Mark Travers. Just Eddie Howe's been linked with James Trafford a lot at Burnley. Yeah. Nick Pope, for me, I think Nick Pope's a good goalie. He's had a bad injury. I don't think he's an Eddie Howe goalkeeper. Personally, I don't think he's a modern goalkeeper at all. He's rubbish with his feet, by the way. Nick Pope. And that's why he's never got an England team. I think he's looking at James Trafford. Not sure I agree with that. Scott Parker's just got Jane Anthony because he done well for him. I think Scott Parker comes in and gets Mark Travers.
Is that a bit of an underwhelming window for Newcastle? Because that's 2 keepers.
But they'll get Margay.
They will.
They'll go to the last day.
Yeah,
there'll be a few people that you can just see that everyone's been knocking on the door, and they'll just think, right, we've made 3 offers now.
Yeah.
Just you wait, because you've got an unsettled player there. Yeah. You know that you're going to be selling him. Yeah. We'll go back in on the final.
That's why everyone goes on deadline day.
Yeah.
So you're playing
Eddie Nketiah as well. I mean, he's been flirted with by everyone, hasn't he? Probably including us. He'll go Palace, somewhere. On the Palace, I think, on the deadline day.
So what about Frost then? Do you think there's going to be any more players out, players in?
Definitely out, and I'd say in.
Yeah. Who do you reckon is going to go?
I think the ones we talked about, I think Aarons and Billing will go. Yeah. I think Travers will go. I think Chris Mepham will go.
If anyone wants Hannah Traore, he'll go. The issue is everyone I want him. But if we can do what we did last season with
if we can get if Napoli wanted him, you'd like to think there'd be a smaller Italian team that would take him.
And what was he done well at Sassuolo? I think that's why Napoli. Yeah. So if they just look at what he did in Italy, some of the lower teams, they might be willing to go, well, we'll have him on loan and have that option to buy.
Yeah.
So that could be an option. And I agree, as Neil says, now we've brought Araujo in. I don't see why Aarons would sit there.
No,
when virtually every team in the Championship, I think, would have him.
Yeah.
Billing, as we kind of mentioned, I just don't see it. Unfortunately for Brooks, I think he's staying because why would you take a risk on Brooks with his injuries?
He's got to come back from his surgery, isn't he?
Exactly. So we will probably still have him. I think
he'll go in January somewhere.
Yeah. And I think more the case, but obviously we bought Housen in, but I think the fact that Mepham's fit and he's putting Hill on the bench in the opening 2 games is because Mepham's going to go.
Yeah.
I think Sheffield United were the Mermans. I think that'd be a good move for them.
There was that about 6 months ago.
Yeah, it could be one like that. So yeah, I think, but if all of them go on loan or permanent, we've got to get some bodies in for the squad more. Yeah. I think Kepa will obviously come in and hope to be number 1, but I think the rest of them would be more squad. I think you've got to look at, it was interesting that Andoni said all 3 of Adams, Brooks. I knew Adams and Brooks were a bit more long term, but he also said Unal and not close at all. Well, if Unal's not close at all and they're all saying that Jebison is definitely going to go out on loan, well, he's got to get someone in then.
So I always thought that this summer had to be a 2-striker play, a big striker, and then a striker that was 10 million that is there, that plays the Solanke role, because Unal doesn't play the Solanke role.
No, that's right.
And we know that when we don't have a Solanke role type player in Iriola's system, which is about the centre forward taking the team up the pitch so that everyone else can come up and the press can happen.
Who would that be?
No, I think
it'll be someone maybe we've not heard of.
Yeah. I think there's a few little links. I think there's a few little players from abroad but I think it'd be someone like that, because I think, if we get Kepa, obviously he's at Chelsea, so I think we still got an option to loan someone from abroad. That wouldn't surprise me. Bit like what we did with Unal, like a loan and option to buy or whatever. There'll be a few floating about. You don't know what's going on at Lorient. We could take one of them. I don't know. But there'll be work. I think it'll be someone that will come out of nowhere a little bit.
Otherwise, you think don't let Jebison go.
Exactly. Yeah, you just don't let him go, do you?
Yeah.
There's no way they let Jebison go
But clearly he doesn't 100% think Jebison's up to it, because he would have come on earlier when we took Evan Nielsen off.
And he would have started against Forest when we didn't have a striker.
Yeah. Maybe just giving him something else to think about, like chucking balls in the box. He's quite a tall lad.
He is, but Andoni has virtually said it in his press conferences where the aim is to let Jebison go out on loan, but we're going to keep it to the last minute, because I think we've almost promised someone like Watford.
Yeah.
You're having him. But at the moment, until Evan Nilsson's in and blah, 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 it'll just be interesting to see if we go, let's play him on Wednesday and see how he does, or we're not going to, because we don't want to cut time for a loan move. Don't know. But I think a lot will happen. I still think, there'll be incomings and outgoings, right on the last day.
I wonder if we'll get I think we need do think we need a reserve left back. I don't think he sees Dango as a reserve left back. I think we'll see someone come in from Spain or somewhere that's a backup to Kirkes, or I think Kirkes is going to get injuries and suspensions, isn't he? If you look at his history, both of those things are likely to happen in this season, and I don't think we're all sitting here thinking that Dango's the answer for that.
The only thing that, because I probably agree, the only thing that I heard is that Houghton's played a fair amount at left back.
Oh, right, that's a fair point.
So I just wonder if that's why, a bit like Kelly last season, he was centre back. Because, I just wonder. But, that could be another thing as well. And obviously, it's not ideal. Smith can do it. Don't know if we're all hope. I always think a right back should be able to do a job at that.
Yeah, but they don't do the right.
But I know what you mean. It loses the balance. It does lose the balance.
Well, it's in a Tony Pulis side when you're in your own half. But I just think when you've got people that want to overlap and go past people, we saw it last year, didn't we, when Kirkes was out and we had people checking back all the time, and the whole system breaks down. And I do wonder if we'll try and get maybe on loan an energetic central midfielder. Because if you think we've spent, and I think this is where we struggled yesterday, we spent 75 million quid on Traore, Scott and Adams. So it's not like Bill Foley's not recognised, the club's desire to bring in a central midfielder. He's given them 75 million quid. They bought 3. They've got one that doesn't really fit the system, one that's medically constantly unfit, and one that isn't very good. Yeah. So is there not a need, because Christie and Cook are going to get suspended? They're going to get, they put in a lot of work. We can't be playing them in every Carabao Cup game and every FA Cup game. To me, there's a need to go and get on loan, because we have players on the books, a central midfielder that bustles.
Yeah, no, I agree, because we're already looking at Wednesday, and like I said, Billing could go. I expect him to, and hopefully Traore gets a loan move as well. So then you're already looking on Wednesday in a game, like we've said, that we kind of want to wrap people up. Well, one of Cook or Christie's got to play, and you don't want to have to do that. But otherwise, Kilkenny could play us. Oh, he's still here, isn't he? But I agree with Neil. I think that's it. And we got to remember how lucky are we with Iraola, because Christie is like he was never considered in this midfield thing.
No.
We've just found that.
He was an in and out of the side winger in the Premier League. Yeah. He was a good Championship winger. Yeah. But he was in and out of the side in the Premier League. And fans have forgotten now. Yeah. A lot of people were saying, I don't want him to start, because there was never an end product. No. He wasn't quick. Yeah. And now we're like, we need him in that central midfield. But
if we didn't get Iraola, Ryan Christie's gone. Yeah. Because he wasn't good. Do you remember at the end of Gary Neal's, when we got Dango in, we got Semenyo in? Yeah. Christie wasn't making the bench when he was fit.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Because he was only considered a winger. Yeah. And he wasn't good enough. Mad. So he's been one that, but like Neil said, we've kind of fell upon that. So the need for a central midfielder, I don't know. Yeah, but it needs to be more that profile. Yeah. Adams is good when he's fit. Scott's good, but the profile of player, when you take Christie off, we just lose everything in there. So that'd be interesting to see if we can find someone like that. Because like Eddie could do yesterday, you got Longstaff and then you go, Willock's the same profile in terms of ill bustle, so you can just do a like for like. And we kind of, need to be looking at that maybe. We'll see.
Interesting. So 125 years of this great football club then. It was a nice day yesterday, wasn't it? The atmosphere before the game was good. Obviously we were there on Thursday, but there were a few of the ex-players. I think Brett Pittman and Mark Molesley did a half-time crossbar challenge.
Yeah. As did their kids.
Did they?
No.
Anyone hit them?
No. All of them were very good, but they all missed by...
Brett just finds the net anyway.
A small amount.
It's in his DNA.
It's natural.
Sean O'Driscoll was there as well. Saw him at the end as well. So Noisy was there. But is it a stupid question to say what was your favourite moment over the last... Okay, you haven't seen all 125 years, Neil, but in your lifetime, favourite moments?
Favourite moment, favourite goal, it's like a whole show, mate.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, okay, what instantly comes to my mind, and it was Bolton. Because I never in a million years thought I'd see that day. No. And even, I remember it was a Monday night game, wasn't it? Yeah. And I even remember coming back from work and looking at the Bolton squad. Bolton were right down there. They were awful. And I looked at the squad and I was going, geez, we can't, how do we win this game?
Liam Feeney, Neil Heskey, was it Barry
Johnson?
Yeah, Barry Bannon was playing for
the time. Neil Dans, I think. But I remember looking at and in my head, I made it that there's no way we win this game.
Yeah.
And that's just because I just couldn't see how we could possibly. So that game for me, and obviously there's been loads of great ones in the Premier League since, and moments, because even last season I thought, to win at Old Trafford like we did is a moment.
Yeah, that was incredible.
It's just a moment. But
that was incredible. Beating Liverpool at home as well.
Yeah.
When you, I think, and
twice we beat them at home now.
That year when we got up to like 7th or 8th and for a little while, and you were thinking, this just does not look right when you look at the when you look at the league tables. Yeah. I can't walk past Bolton. Bolton was just too momentous to walk past. We'll never ever have a moment like that again because we've had it, Notts Forest. Yeah. But it never felt.
It would never be the same.
It won't be the same. Never felt the same as that. And the Grimsby game at home.
Yeah.
Just because we were potentially going out of the Football League, and then that would have been oblivion.
I don't think I've felt so much emotion because the Bolton game turned out we won 3-0.
Yeah.
And obviously we got 2 goals just for half time. So it felt like it was kind of done and we were cruising. It was just don't let them score, we're fine.
And of course we missed a penalty. I keep forgetting.
And I told Jan Kermaghan about that on Thursday.
Oh, what?
I was chatting to him. I go, how does it feel that one of the greatest moments in Bournemouth history and you missed a penalty? It's an awful penalty. But yeah, the goal was the Fletch goal against Grimsby because we weren't winning the game.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that it was Fletch and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think of I mean, we've had so many just unbelievable.
Do you reckon VAR, did he slightly handle that?
No, that doesn't count on VAR, yeah.
Fletch against Grimsby. Do you think
Mostly
we could have written that one off? I think.
Did Jan also miss a penalty that Leicester fans really disliked?
Oh God, yeah. They wrote a whole song about it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Leicester fans are the only
he
fans.
He Panenka'd it, didn't he?
Yeah,
straight into the keeper's hands or something.
Work.
Yeah,
he Panenka'd
that was a playoff final, wasn't it?
Semi-final against Cardiff, and then they went out. But yeah, just and so we saw that on Thursday with some amazing goals as well.
Yeah, and you shared a drink with Jan, didn't you?
I did. Just a drink. But yeah, no, it was a great night. And yeah, some amazing, you can go, I even remember going back to like Lincoln. I love that game.
Yeah.
And do you remember their goal scorer? Lincoln's goal scorer, Ben Futcher.
Yeah, big tall centre back.
He's now the England under-21 manager.
No way.
Wow. How mad is that? Now Carsley's got, the interim, which is just crazy. But yeah, no, been unbelievable moments, mate. And, just don't see how Bolton's ever get topped. We'd have to win a cup. We could win the FA Cup, which would be the best. And I still don't think I'd ever have that feeling of Bolton though. Just because I just never thought it could.
Because you've got the underdog spirit.
Yeah, I just don't know.
No, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I just don't see how that can ever be topped, but you never know.
It would certainly run it very close. It would certainly run it very close. And I think for newer fans, it would top it. I think
of course,
Bolton was so special because of the years and years and years of utter shit of going to Rochdale and losing 2-0 and, all of that. That was the thought that you were then going to be playing Tottenham, Man United, Chelsea as an equal. In the league was just incredible. And everyone singing the Match of the Day theme tune, which was the most amateurish tin pot song that you could ever do. But the whole ground was singing the Match of the Day theme tune because we couldn't believe we were going to be on Match of the Day. You got kids saying we're going to be on FIFA with our stadium. You know, so there's all these knock-on things. We get a proper set of stickers in the Panini book. You know, there's all those things that were frames of reference as kids came true because of the Bolton game, which is why it's so special.
Absolutely. But we've got to end it on the last decade at the City Ground's always been fun as well.
Exactly. Very
Easy.
True. Very true. On what the next 125 years will hold. Look, it's been a pleasure to be chatting with you, gentlemen. It's always good. So whether you've been listening or you've been watching, we'd appreciate you doing those things that Tom said earlier. Neil, thanks for coming on.
No, it's always a pleasure.
Hopefully have you on more regularly this season.
Yeah. Well, I'm always here. Only a phone call away.
It's a bank holiday today, so we're not recording at the Goods Yard, but we will be on Sunday. So look, we've asked if you wanted to get involved, pop us an email. Had a number of emails as well, so we'll try to get on a third voice because no one wants to listen to just me and you, do they?
I get bored of it as well, my own voice.
Yeah,
I'm just moaning about stuff all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, Neil, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And Tom, always a pleasure.
Mate. Yeah, cheers, mate. Let's bring on. Oh, how are we getting to West Ham?
Yeah,
we've got gaming.
Yeah, I think I'm driving to that one. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Fuck PGMOL and VAR and all that shit.